the sensational Miss Marianne Ruse. Off to you.
Thank you. And I do have Miss Patricia also doing, Victoria, sorry. Victoria is doing my introduction.
And I'm fully prepared, kind of. Okay. Let me introduce today Marianne Rouse. Marianne has been a BNI member for over 13 years and is the director consultant for this chapter. She has always been an independent thinker, which got her kicked out of ballet and violin classes, of course. From the very start, life for Marianne has had its share of struggles and challenges, but she knew she had the choice to live as a victim or learn from the experience and change her circumstances to be the victor. Her first step to her new life was when she decided to make her childhood dream of coming to Hawaii a reality and got on a plane at the age of 18 to move to Puna. If you want to know more about her story, schedule a one-to-one. And with that, I give you Marianne.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Mark, can I ask you to stop the screen share? That way we can still just see each other. That would be fantastic. Awesome. So I am excited to be sharing with you today. And what I'm going to share with you, I'm going to start with a story. And I'm going to be sharing with you the story of this gentleman. This gentleman is Cliff Young. So he is an Australian potato farmer, and well, he was a potato farmer because he has passed away. He was born February 8th, 1922, so same birthday as my husband, just different years. And he was the eldest son out of 7 children. His family they were a farming family from the get-go, and his family had a 2,000-acre farm with over 2,000 sheep, which if you're counting sheep when you can't sleep at night, you better be able to count less than 2,000 and fall asleep. Back in the 1930s, Australia did experience a Great Depression. And because of that depression, while the family still had the farm and all those sheep, they were so poor that they could not afford having horses to round up all the sheep. So Cliff, since he was the eldest of all the boys, he was made to run around and gather all 2,000 plus sheep. And which is pretty phenomenal all in itself, just to run around and gather up all the sheep. But what is even more phenomenal is what he did in his 60s. So picture this, at the age of 61, this farmer shows up to register for the Sydney to Melbourne ultramarathon, which is the toughest race in the world. It's even tougher than Ironman, and I don't know if you're ever out there when the triathletes are out there and you see all the sweat and all the salts and everything that they're going through, or if you have done any races. But the Sydney to Melbourne ultramarathon is considered the toughest because it is a 5-day race that covers 544 miles. And so let me show you how he showed up to actually register for the race. You have a whole bunch of athletes around, and here he shows up in his rubber boots. And the guys at registration are like, "Are you sure you want to register for the race? Are you sure you know what you're doing? This is a big race. It's 544 miles. It's going to go on for 5 days. You don't look like an athlete." And he's like, "Yeah, I've done some running in my time." So go back to his time. He's talking about when he was a kid, running around and gathering all the sheep. But then the big day came, the race day came, and you have all the athletes that are at the start line, and there's Cliff, to where he shows up in his gumboots. They're called gumboots. And he shows up in his gumboots and in his overalls. So he does not look like an athlete at all. But you know what? Cliff, the farmer, he's getting ready to start, and he goes, oh, he also removed his false teeth, his dentures, because when he runs, they rattle. So he is just going out there and he's running. He's running slow. He is running slow. He's a farmer. Running is not what he normally does. So he's running slow and he's quickly starting to trail behind all the other runners. But here is what happened. While all the other runners would stop to sleep for 6 hours, because that is the standard normal training for that ultra marathon, he kept on running. He ran for a total of 5 days, 15 hours, and 4 minutes. And because he ran nonstop, he ended up beating the other 5 remaining runners by 10 hours. He won the race, which is pretty cool considering a number of things, that he's a potato farmer. Most of his running is when he was a kid, and he's 61 years old. So he won the trophy, and there was also prize money, which he had no idea that the race even had a prize to start with. So what he decided to do was to split that prize equally among the other 5 finishers. He didn't keep any of the money himself. He was like, all these guys have worked really hard to make it to the finish line. Only 5 others finished, and so he split equally, which at that time was roughly 10,000 Australian dollars. I don't know what the equivalent is in the US, but he was like, he's super happy with the trophy. And that was, that was his claim to fame, to where he completed it. He's a potato farmer. And when he was asked how he did it and how come he did not rest, basically, he said that when he was a child, he had to run and round up all the sheep, and he could not stop until all the sheep were round up. He did not have a choice. And so here, that's the train of thought that he had, that he was running until he got to the finish line, because that's how you run. He never trained to run and take rest and run and take rest. So he was never a professional athlete. He did one other race prior to this one, which he did not complete because he was not even trained for any races. He did not know about any rest, and it kind of made me think about Forrest Gump, where Forrest Gump, he says he just felt like running, and he just kept on running. And basically what Clifford did is that he just kept a regular pace, which later on was known as the Young Shuffle. His last name is Young, so it was called the Young Shuffle, and other athletes started using his pace. So there's 4 things that I want you to remember from today's story, because there are 4 things that apply to your personal life. It applies to your business. It applies to your business participation here in BNI, and it also applies to January 22nd. So if you can go ahead and write these down. Number 1 is don't compare yourself to others. You yourself are unique. Whether you're training in something or not, it doesn't make any difference. You are an individual, and yourself and your business is unique to you. Number 2, faster doesn't always win. Consistency is what matters. When he ran, he was not the fastest runner. He just had that little shuffle, and it's like the turtle and the hare, where the turtle just kept going while the hare took some naps and started playing around. The turtle just kept on going until it reached the finish line. And that is what he did, and that is what you can do in personal business BNI in January 22nd. It's having that consistency that matters. Number 3, find your pace. What is your pace? What is going on in your personal life? What is going on in your business life? What is going on in everything encompassed together? find the pace that is right for you. Just like the young shuffle that was adopted by the other long distance athletes afterwards, to where they realized that that was actually a good pace for endurance and for consistency and for keeping going and getting to that finish line. And then number 4 is a quote by Les Brown. As most of you know, I'm a student of Les Brown, and I graduated from his course on Christmas Eve. I got my certificate. Yes. And one quote that he says is, "It is not over until I win." And I want you to adopt that as well, to where it is not over until you win. Whatever it is, that win is for you. So let us go ahead and move forward together. Let's keep on being steady. Let's have that consistent pace. Let's get to that finish line together and beyond. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. And Mark, what's next?